Bronze Age technology may seem rudimentary compared to modern standards, yet the architectural achievements of this era continue to astound us thousands of years later. From the awe-inspiring pyramids of Egypt and the monumental ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the sophisticated palaces of Minoan Crete and Mycenaean Greece, these ancient structures demonstrate remarkable ingenuity and skill. This exploration highlights some of the most significant and iconic examples of Bronze Age architecture from the Near East and the Aegean, offering a glimpse into the advanced societies that created them. Early Egyptian architecture. Egypt's architectural legacy is among the most enduring in the world, with its pyramids standing as iconic symbols of its ancient civilization. Before these grand structures, however, the Egyptians constructed tombs called mastabas, Arabic for bench, named by later visitors who likened their rectangular shape to simple seating benches. These early tombs served as burial sites for the kings of the First Dynasty and the final rulers of the Second Dynasty near Abydos in Upper Egypt. A transformative shift occurred during the Third Dynasty, as Egypt's capital moved north to Memphis, establishing a new necropolis. This period witnessed a groundbreaking architectural development under King Djoser, reigned from around 2687 to 2648 BCE. Guided by his vizier and architect Imhotep, Djoser constructed the Step Pyramid, a revolutionary design that stacked 6 mastabas in ascending layers. Towering at 196 feet, this structure was enclosed within a vast 5,397-foot-long, 34-foot-high wall, marking the beginning of Egypt's pyramid-building tradition and an era of monumental innovation. The reign of Sneferu, the first ruler of Egypt's Fourth Dynasty, marked the dawn of the Pyramid Age. Determined to perfect the pyramid's design, Sneferu commissioned the construction of 4 pyramids, one at Meidum, 2 at Dashur, and 1 at Sela. Among these, the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid at Dashur are the most renowned. Scholars often regard the Bent Pyramid as the first successful attempt at a true pyramid, setting the stage for the monumental structures at Giza. The Giza Plateau became home to the iconic pyramids of Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaura. Khufu's Great Pyramid, the largest of the 3, earned its place as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Spanning 13.1 acres, it rises to an impressive 479 feet with a striking slope of 53 degrees. Built with limestone quarried nearby, these pyramids were the result of meticulous organization, with teams of approximately 25,000 laborers working in 3-month rotations. The pyramids served as tombs for the kings and their consorts, often accompanied by smaller satellite pyramids for the queens. They also formed the centerpiece of larger religious complexes, where priests conducted ceremonies to honor the deified rulers. While the purpose of these structures as burial sites is well understood, their deeper symbolism continues to be debated. Some scholars propose that the pyramid shape symbolizes the sun's rays, which were believed to revitalize the deceased king, while others suggest it represents the primordial mound of creation central to Egyptian mythology. Following the Fourth Dynasty, pyramid construction continued, but the structures gradually declined in both size and durability. Unlike the stone pyramids of earlier eras, many Middle Kingdom pyramids were constructed using mud brick cores, leaving little of them intact today. Significant advancements in Egyptian architecture, however, occurred during the New Kingdom, a period marked by Egypt's imperial expansion into Nubia and the Levant. The resulting influx of wealth transformed the Nile Valley, fueling ambitious building projects. While the pyramids remained celebrated marvels of the past, the New Kingdom era introduced monumental temples and tombs carved directly into cliffs. These impressive structures, especially around Thebes in Upper Egypt, became enduring symbols of the era's architectural prowess. The temples of Karnak, Luxor, Medinet Habu, and the Ramesseum stand out as some of the most expansive and well-preserved examples. Built from stone to withstand the ravages of time, these temples were continually expanded by successive rulers, creating vast complexes. Much like the rings of a tree, layers of pylons, chapels, and inner sanctuaries were added over generations, forming intricate labyrinthine designs. The grandeur of these temples left a profound impression on later Greek and Roman rulers, who took inspiration from their scale and design when constructing their own monumental temples. Architecture in ancient Mesopotamia. While the Egyptians were erecting their iconic pyramids, an equally remarkable architectural tradition was unfolding further east in the lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This region, ancient Mesopotamia, was home to a diverse array of cultures and peoples, yet they shared common architectural styles and religious practices. Among their architectural achievements, the ziggurat stands as the most impressive. Ziggurats, meaning temple towers, were monumental structures that bore a resemblance to Egyptian pyramids in their tiered design, but differed greatly in purpose. While pyramids primarily served as tombs and religious complexes for Egypt's deified rulers, ziggurats had a variety of functions. They acted as temples, scribal schools, and even centers for astronomical observation. Their construction evolved over centuries, with their origins tracing back to simple platforms crowned with towers, first built by the Sumerians during the Uruk period. Each ziggurat was dedicated to a specific god or goddess and was believed to serve as the earthly residence of the deity. The structure itself symbolized a sacred mountain, reflecting the divine connection between heaven and earth. Despite their grand design, ziggurats were primarily constructed from mud bricks, which has left most of them in ruins today. Nonetheless, these towering edifices remain a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual devotion of ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. The first fully realized ziggurats emerged during the Sumerian Ur-III dynasty and quickly became prominent across Mesopotamia. Among these, the ziggurat of Ur, constructed by King Ur-Nammu, is the best known and most well preserved. Dedicated to the moon god Sin, this monumental structure formed the centerpiece of a sprawling temple complex in Ur, the dynasty's capital. The base of the ziggurat measured an impressive 190 by 130 feet, and although only 2 levels survive today, scholars estimate that it originally rose to 3 levels, potentially reaching a height of 100 feet. Following the collapse of the Ur-III dynasty, the practice of building ziggurats spread to other Mesopotamian dynasties and even neighboring regions. Babylon, which rose to prominence during the 2nd millennium BCE, likely saw extensive ziggurat construction. Unfortunately, much of ancient Babylon now lies beneath modern farmland and urban development near Baghdad, leaving limited physical evidence. However, significant archaeological discoveries have been made in regions to the east and north of Mesopotamia. The Elamites, who established a kingdom in what is now southwestern Iran, built ziggurats of their own during the Bronze Age. One of the most remarkable examples is the ziggurat at Chogha-Zanbil, constructed by King Untash-Naparisha. This ziggurat, dedicated to the Elamite deities Naparisha and Inshushinak, remains the best preserved in the Near East, constructed from millions of baked bricks. Even after the Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BCE, ziggurat construction continued. The Assyrians, known for their military might and architectural achievements, built numerous ziggurats. King Assur-Nasirpal II added a grand ziggurat adjacent to his palace in Nimrud, while Sargon II constructed an immense ziggurat in his capital, Dur-Sharrukin. Sargon's ziggurat, standing approximately 143 feet tall with 7 levels, incorporated an innovative feature, directly connecting the royal palace to the ziggurat, symbolizing the divine legitimacy of the ruler. One of the final and most iconic ziggurats was the Etemenanke ziggurat in Babylon, built by Nebuchadnezzar II. Dedicated to Marduk, Babylon's patron deity, the Etemenanke's name translates to "House of the Frontier between Heaven and Earth." This towering structure is widely believed to have inspired the biblical story of the Tower of Babel in Genesis. Together, these ziggurats represent the enduring legacy of Mesopotamian architectural ingenuity and their profound connection to religious and cultural life. Minoan Architecture. Crete was home to Europe's first advanced civilization, the Minoans, named by archaeologist Arthur Evans in the early 20th century after the legendary King Minos of Greek mythology. Emerging around 2000 BCE, the Minoans established a thriving maritime power, dominating trade across the Aegean until roughly 1600 BCE. They left an enduring influence on classical Greek culture, particularly in sports and artistic traditions, though little of their architectural style carried over. Minoan architecture, often labeled palace architecture, is most famously represented by the grand structures at Knossos, Malea, and Phaistos. While these sites resemble palaces in appearance, their precise functions remain a subject of debate, largely due to the undeciphered nature of the Minoan script, the linear A. Modern scholars propose that these complexes were multifunctional, serving as centers of governance, religion, and economic activity, in addition to housing royalty. The architectural design of these complexes shared common features, typically centered around a large open courtyard surrounded by an array of interconnected rooms and corridors. While some sections likely served as private residences for the ruling elite, other areas were reserved for administrative, ceremonial, and public use. The palaces at Knossos and Phaistos featured spacious courtyards, referred to by archaeologists as theatrical areas, which were likely venues for communal events such as sporting contests, religious ceremonies, and musical performances. Bull leaping, a ritualistic and athletic display depicted in Minoan frescoes, is thought to have taken place in these spaces. Minoan palaces stand out for their resemblance to the grand temple complexes of the ancient Near East, rather than the fortified structures of the later Mycenaean Greeks or the temples of classical Greece. These palaces were not just functional hubs, but also symbolic representations of Minoan society, blending seamlessly with their natural surroundings. As described by Donald Preziosi and Louise Hitchcock, a Minoan palace can be viewed as a sophisticated architectural package that harmoniously integrated the diverse aspects of Minoan life and culture into a unified whole. Mycenaean Architecture. By around 1600 BCE, Minoan civilization had collapsed, likely due to a combination of internal conflicts among Minoan city-states and the catastrophic volcanic eruption on the island of Thera. In the wake of this decline, the Mycenaeans, a Greek-speaking people from mainland Greece, rose to prominence. By 1450 BCE, they had conquered Crete and extended their influence across much of the Aegean region. The Mycenaeans left their architectural mark, particularly with their palaces, which became defining features of their society. One of the most notable examples is the palace at Pylos on the Peloponnesian Peninsula, constructed between 1300 and 1230 BCE. This palace was composed of 4 distinct buildings, including a 2-story structure with a throne room situated along the eastern courtyard. At its center was a large ceremonial area known as a megaron, a design element that was a hallmark of Bronze Age Greece. Linear B tablets discovered at Pylos confirm its role as a royal palace, and similar structures at sites such as Mycenae, Tiryns, and Knossos suggest these too were palatial complexes. Although no definitive inscriptions exist to identify them as such, their design and layout closely resemble the palace at Pylos. The Mycenaeans appear to have drawn heavily from Minoan construction techniques. Their palace walls often combined timber and rubble cores with exterior facings of ashlar blocks or porous limestone. These blocks were precisely cut into V shapes for a snug fit, a method directly influenced by Minoan craftsmanship. Another striking feature of Mycenaean architecture is their elaborate circular tombs, known as tholos tombs. Found near major palace sites, these tombs were often grouped, creating a visually impressive beehive effect. The most renowned tholos tomb is the so-called Treasury of Atreus at Mycenae. Measuring nearly 50 feet in diameter and extending 118 feet in length, this monumental structure was cut into a hillside and likely served as the burial site for a Mycenaean ruler and his family. Despite its grandeur, no inscriptions survive to confirm its intended occupants, leaving its history shrouded in mystery. Through their palaces and tombs, the Mycenaeans showcase their engineering ingenuity while continuing and adapting the architectural traditions of their Minoan predecessors.